Dr. Weeks, would you please read our mission and vision statements?
Our mission is to ensure that each student is prepared to succeed in life, and our vision is that all students will be enabled to reach and exceed high academic standards and technologically advance in a culturally diverse society.
Thank you. Board members, you have before you a consent agenda. What I would like to ask you to do first is move item H under the consent agenda, the approval of the MOU between RCS and Robertson County Education Association. If you would move that down to 6C. Now, having made that move, excuse me?
Could also mention that there is a replacement to item 3D beside your desk. So if you would replace item 3D in your packets with item 3D that's beside your desk, please.
Okay. All right.
Motion to approve as corrected.
Okay, motion by Mr. White. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayers. All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, recognitions?
None this
None?
evening.
All right, we'll move right on to personnel reports.
Board members, as you would expect, we as we're preparing to start the new school year, you'll see a rather lengthy personnel report. Item 5A in your packets, page 55. You will see several resignations and resignations from central office, resignations from our school level. You see a list of transfers of people that have moved from one position to another. Leaves of absence, a couple of those on page 55, carrying over to 56. On page 56, you will see the comprehensive list of new hires for the new school year. You'll see their assignments on the right side of that page, and that carries over to page 57. If you follow one meeting from our last meeting, you'll see several of those names are rehires that maybe have taken and corrected some licensing issues, maybe been on temporary licenses or something like that, and those have been corrected. And those staff have met those requirements on page 56 and 57. Starting on page 58 and 59, you'll see the same report for classified employees. We do have 2 dismissals, a reassignment, 4 resignations, leaves of absence, transfers, and new hires continued over to the next page. So those are on page 58 and 59. We do still have several positions open. We have a couple of math teachers, a few special education teachers, and just some other general educators here and there. But overall, we're in pretty good shape. I would attribute that to our Human Resources Office and our principals working hard. We started advertising quite a bit earlier this year for positions, and we started signing contracts earlier. We attended several job fairs and got some people in that way, and so we've been a little more aggressive at hiring and a little earlier start to some of that than we have been. So very pleased with where we are right now, but there is still a lot of work to do, and of course it's difficult finding staff as always.
Okay. Any questions, Dr. Weeks? Okay, we'll move on to expense comparison report.
Page number 60, item 6A in your package, you'll see the expenditure comparison report from May of 24 to May of 25. You'll see our revenues at that point in time, $126.1 million. Expenditures at $120.3 million. Revenues at that point in time, $19.1 million in property tax and $17 million in sales tax. And you'll see both of those exceeded our projected budgets, and we will continue to expect that to happen. As the close of school, you'll see we spent $2.2 million in electricity, $400,000 in diesel, $120,000 gasoline, salaries and benefits. You see slightly over 75 to 80 million. Did I say thousand? Millions in each one of those cases. Sorry. In those categories. We do understand that county finance will be closing books next week, and so we should get our final fund balance. When we're talking about budgets and things of that nature, we anticipate there is a rescheduled budget committee meeting tomorrow at 4. And so we've had very few questions about the school budget for the upcoming year through the county finance or the county budget committee, so we feel very good about that. And I know they'll be voting very soon, and hopefully that'll take place. We're operating on a continuation budget from the previous year, and we're operating at that same level. Be glad to answer any questions on the comparison report. Your detailed reports are in your consent packet.
Okay, any questions?
So we're not asking for any more money? I mean, technically.
That's correct. We're depending upon fund balance to take care of that, and that's where we would anticipate that would come from.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 6B, guaranteed maximum price.
Board members, on item 6B on page 61, if you would strike the top item, the Joe Burns High School project, we're going to pull that at this point in time. There's a little glitch in that guaranteed maximum price, so if you would pull the Joe Burns project out. And so tonight we'll be voting, or we'll be asking you to vote on the East Robertson High School. You'll see this is a guaranteed maximum price for an agricultural building, a barn at East Robertson High School. Mr. Gregory and his department have worked on that. Would remind you this is ISM grant money, so this is the grant money that the governor had allocated for our CTE programming. And so the request tonight is to use $239,626.53 as a guaranteed maximum price on that project at the East Robertson High School campus. Jamie Spencer is here tonight with Hewlett Spencer, and he could answer any questions if you had questions about that project. Again, we do anticipate following through with the Joe Burns High School project. There'll be a similar project that we've just need to pull that from tonight's agenda, please.
Okay, so we need just a motion on East Robertson High School.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. White, second by Mr. Josh White. Any questions or discussion?
So the funds are coming from where?
The ISM grant, that's a state grant through CTE programming.
So it'll cover all the costs for Joe Burns for this project. And I'm assuming I see we're using Summertown Metals and Deaton. I'm assuming you guys took bids. Does anybody know, you've seen the bids?
When Hewlett Spencer does a guaranteed maximum price for us, they bring that to us as a total package. So rather than having to individually bid that, they do that under our agreement that we approved, because it was last November, December.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I'm assuming they share their process with somebody on the board or somebody in the central office to say,
Yes, sir.
Here's who we received bids from, and we vetted these out, and Clint has looked at them, and I mean, guaranteed maximum price or not, the process should be the same. They're just doing the process for us. Right?
They do not have to hard bid under Title 49 as we would have to do if we were doing it ourselves. That's part of our agreement with them. But yes, sir, it has been bid and has been vetted.
Okay. Just asking.
Do we have a projected start date?
Ms. Hogan, could I ask Jamie to address that, please?
Sure.
What's the question?
Projected start date and timeline for the East Robertson High School
Sure,
project.
we're going to be starting East Robertson tomorrow morning. It's approved tonight.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
That is,
Well, do we have a projection on when the Joe Burns
I think so.
will be ready to vote on?
They've got to do a little site work or more investigation at the site work. I think we're going to do that the remainder of the week, and we'll certainly bring that back at our next meeting.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Our next item will be now what we move down from our consent agenda, the approval of the MOU between Robertson County Schools and Robertson County Education Association.
So board members, you'll find that on page 22 of your packets, and you'll see that carries through page 48, so 22 through 48. Page 48, there is a summary from Mr. Walling, who is our lead on that project, and he's here if we have questions for that.
Okay,
Would you like a
Question?
motion and where we can at least discuss?
well, I just think.
Motion to approve the MOU.
If you want to make that motion, you can make that motion, okay? Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ayers, okay? Now, questions or discussion?
Could I get a refresher on who was on the committee for this?
That listing's on page 22.
It said,
Yes.
But was there a separate board committee, like, I remember, I might be thinking about under the whole process, I'm not sure. I've only been through two.
see, I thought we always had approved the team, but I don't remember this coming up in front of us, but the board team is always made up of one school board member, as far as I know, it's just one, and then people from central office, and it's called the board team.
Okay. I thought, I was under the impression there was like a smaller group besides this group, but it was, so this is the,
Oh, no,
Okay,
that's
all
it, okay. And I don't know, I guess one of my concerns was, here we are with our budget that you've already talked to the budget committee about. Does this fall in line with our budget? Are we gonna be okay? Are we gonna need to come back and look at the budget again before?
I don't anticipate any budget changes. I know when our team met, and again, Mr. Walling's here, and as he meets with our team, who eventually meets with the larger team, I know he was here and we had expressed, and I think you had asked us to look $1,200 increase for all employees. And so I think, Mr. Walling, I hate to speak for you, but I think we took that number and knew what dollar amount that was
Okay.
for the number of employees we had at that point in time. And then I know that goes to the table through the collaborative conference and process. If you have specific questions, Mr. Walling might could answer those, but I think that's in
These figures
general.
did include, we based our budget on these figures that.
On everything that was in there? Okay, thank you.
This isn't a question. But on page 30, the very last paragraph, not that it matters, but it says 27 and then it says 29. This is talking about the different sports fields. I don't know if that matters. It's two different numbers that don't match. But I don't know if that matters or not.
Maybe,
Right there. The following 27 or 29.
So it should say 29.
Okay.
I can get my shirt back before.
We added two.
okay. Any other questions?
I was trying to find the page, so I see the stipends changed, and we added several. And I was trying to find the language. So, not to mention anybody's name, but if a coach is no longer an official employee, I know there was some discussion that they should also receive the stipend. So if you're responsible for an athletic or a dance team or whatever, we automatically be an employee, so you qualify for the stipend, because in the language, it sounds like you have to be an employee to receive the stipend.
I'd be happy to respond to that. Because of the collaborative conferencing process, we can only speak to the employees. If the board outside this process chooses to contract with volunteers, to pay them whatever stipend we're paying, certainly have the purview to do that. We just can't cover that in this particular document because this is an agreement between the two organizations. And the volunteers would not be part of the organization.
So do we have a process in place? Because I think you know what I'm talking about.
We currently do not have a process in place. We would like to explore that because we do have several coaching vacancies, everything from football coaches down to cheerleading coaches that are very difficult to find people to fill those positions. That's not addressed in the MOU. There are several districts who compensate people on a contracted basis. So if Mr. Ayers wanted to coach girls softball and no one, we post all jobs. So regardless if that's an internal position, but if a principal says there's no one on my staff that would be qualified or certified to coach that position, and a lot of times right now we have volunteer coaches serving in some of those roles. At the current practice and process, we have no way to compensate them. Sometimes we pay them some expense money if they're using their vehicles to transport students and things like that. We have explored the idea, but we've not moved forward with actually funding those positions. If we have that availability, we've got a lot of people volunteering for things. I don't think the idea is to get that down to every position, but I think looking for something to help compensate some of those people who are devoting countless hours to that process would be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's a stipend that's listed, and the only thing that keeps them from getting paid is quote unquote being an employee.
Yes.
I'm assuming we have a process, we hold them accountable for the kids, just as an employee, so they do everything just as an employee, other than we don't pay them based on this MOU.
If we could use the word contractor, that's what I'd like to move to.
Like
So
a
that they would,
1099 employee?
they'd be a 1099 contractor, so that we would, again, meet with them, give them a coaching handbook, talk to them about our expectations of doing that, what to do, what not to do as best we can.
I'm assuming we do that. I mean, I'm assuming we vet somebody before
We
we
do.
let our kids be,
We-
in the presence and
We do
travel
vet,
with them.
we
and-
do vet them, we do not compensate them in any way.
Yeah, they gotta do the background check and all that.
Right.
And I know we have retired teachers that are
Right.
coaching,
Right.
no longer employed, and they don't get a stipend. I think that's an issue that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
I know it came up several months ago, and I thought we were gonna figure out how to fix it, so.
And if the board authorizes us to do so, we can do that outside of the MOU. But I agree with you. I think we've got a lot, I say a lot. It's
Yeah.
getting tougher to find, lifelong coaches that come in and devote their careers to teaching in the classroom, which is our first expectation, is teaching, and then coming back to coach. And again, it's getting more difficult. We're finding a lot of people, particularly at middle school, that like to come in and coach while their children are there. And then once their children move into high school, they often abandon those positions. And sometimes we have experts in the community that may have, you pick any one of these topics, golf or tennis or something like that may be an expert at doing that. They may be retired educators, as you mentioned, and it might be a good thing for us to be able to compensate them. And again, we'd like to explore that. We'd like to implement that if this board allows us to do that. But again, since they're not our employees, this MOU would not cover that. So you would have to authorize us to do that outside of the MOU.
Can we, I know we've got a standing motion, but once we make a decision on it, could somebody bring something up to authorize y'all to put something together to say this is what it would maybe look like, and we can?
I think that'd be a great item for new business.
Because theoretically, it's budgeted, because it's in the MOU, and if a staff member took that position, it's in the budget.
Yes, sir.
So-
And let me go ahead and mention that while we're on that topic, we are changing the way those stipends have been distributed, because typically those have been based upon your teaching experience and your degree. And so it has typically been a percentage of where you are on the salary scale. And so I believe our philosophy is there's a clear difference in what type of job I do in the classroom and what type of job that I might do on the athletic field. And so rather than, I'm just going to throw out some numbers, they're not actual numbers, but if I were to receive 5% of my salary to be the cheerleading coach, 5% of my salary would be quite different than 5% of a brand-new teacher coming in, even though we're doing the same job. And so we have gone to dollar amounts, flat dollar amounts for the number of years' experience that you hold that position. So again, if I'm a career basketball coach, the longer I coach in that sport, the more my salary would increase. And you see those on page 46 as an example of that. But Mr. Rice, the best part about that is that helps us budget and know to the dollar. We know how many head basketball coaches we have in the county. We can take that number and we can calculate what to budget. Whereas in the past, including this year, 6 different coaches, all coaching head basketball coaches, their experience would be based on where they are on the salary scale. So a teacher at the end of their career might be making a lot differently than they would be someone new to our school. So
Yeah, I like how that schedule is. I read through that, and I think that's
thank you.
a good idea. And I see that we've added a stipend for people that maintain fields. I think that's new. Did I read that
That's been
correctly?
there.
It's been in there.
It's a supplement.
It's been,
Field maintenance has always been a certain percentage.
there's always been a supplement in there for maintaining the fields. I just saw it listed.
Not always. We actually added that.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah. It hadn't always been there, but it has been added.
We didn't increase
Was there anything that was added to this year, Mr. Walling?
it. As far as stipends,
Yes.
yes, sir, there were just a handful. We added an assistant for both cheerleading and competitive dance, and for strength coach, and then we returned the high school yearbook supplement. Just those 4.
I guess my only question on the strength coach, what if you have a basketball strength coach and a football strength coach and a softball strength coach?
We have one supplement per school.
So you would just third that out and let it roll?
That'd be up to,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Prorated in some way.
Does your book, do they do after school work?
I think it depends on the school.
Well, that should depend on who gets the stipend. I mean, if it's not extra stuff going on.
I think that's been part of our discussion with the management team that is carrying on these negotiations, because they're, I know we picked that one out, but they're, I'm going to use the same thing for chorus, same thing for theater.
Yes.
Some of our programs do multiple plays, multiple
Yeah.
performances throughout the year, and some of them do none outside of what they do in their classroom. So that's been part of our discussion in terms of how we distribute those and what the expectations are in order to earn that supplement.
Well, you could do the same thing with football. Not everybody does junior varsity football.
Exactly.
So, all right.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the MOU. All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, we'll move on to item 7A, board policy revisions.
Board members, on page 62 of your packet, you see a summary of the items that TSBA has recommended for change for new policies. Ms. Dickerson prepared those. We reviewed those here in this office. I guess you've had those hopefully
yes.
2 weeks. And we'd ask that you review through that packet of information rather than asking Ms. Dickerson to read and present each one of those policies. But you see a list of policies there. There are a couple dozen there. And if you'd like to pull out any, we'd be glad to discuss, and Ms. Dickerson's prepared to do that. But I would ask the board to approve those policies, less any that you choose to pull out and set aside.
Thank you, Dr. Weeks. The only other thing I'd like to mention is that policy 3.501, school nutrition program, charges of meals. We'd like to delete that particular policy. The language in it is pretty redundant, and most of that is included in policy 3.500. So that would be a part of the request. Are there questions about any of the specific policies you'd like to discuss?
Thank you for sending them out to reserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you gotta read them all, I'll let you have this water here before we get going.
And we have about 5, maybe 6 more policies we'll be bringing next month. Those are mostly around human resources, and I wanted to have some time to work with Ms. Spencer on that.
Any other questions from Ms. Dickerson? Do we have a motion to approve presented policies?
So moved.
I don't know. Who won that? I'm going to say Mr. Josh White won that one. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Ayers, any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. I just want to say thank you, Ms. Dickerson. I read every one of them, and I thought,
Did
bless
too.
her heart. So, thank you. Our next item is calendar revision for the 2025-26 school year.
Board members, I know we, every year we approve the calendar 2 years out, and sometimes there are unforeseen circumstances. I'm not one that likes to change the calendar once something has been placed on there. However, we were notified recently that on March the 3rd, 2026, on March the 3rd, there will be an election held on May the 5th. And so originally on March 3rd, we were going to use that as a professional development day. But now, because of the state law that says we cannot be in school on a day when there is an election, we're proposing a change from what you see on your calendar, that we would return March 3rd as a regular school day. And on March 5th, we would close schools for election day. And so that's the easy part. Would like to, with your approval, Ms. Hogan, would like to ask for approval on that, but I do have more information that we've received even later. If you want me to throw that out there, it would just confuse everybody.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of Congressman Green's announcement, there will be a primary election and another election this coming year to fill his vacated seat. They have not finalized those dates. I know at one time they had some discussion of we anticipate an October date and a early December date. The first changes that we are already aware of, we've taken care of those real easily, and I think those can be, I think that's not going to be confusing. It's not going to mess up our day count or anything like that, the ones that are in your packet on page 63. Until the Election Commission gets everything cleared, and I think part of the problem, it's not just our county, and because it's the congressional district election, so that involves part of Dixon County, part of Cheatham County, part of Clarksville, Montgomery County, so I think they're all trying to get their dates associated. I have some dates, but I hesitate to put those out there right now because they've not been finalized, but again, an October date and a early December date. And so we will try, as once those dates are finalized, we will try to come up with a change in calendar that's not confusing to families and not maybe doesn't restructure our whole calendar in any way and doesn't affect work schedules as much. I think the spring dates, I would just ask for that modification now so that we can get that out there with the understanding that there will probably be another in October and December. And again, we have no choice. We cannot, under state law, be in school while an election is going on our campuses.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Motion that we change our calendar to reflect in school on March the 3rd and election on May the 5th.
Okay,
Second.
okay, second by, motion by Mr. Jeff White, second by Ms. Demetria White. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Next item is adult high school report.
Item 7C on page 64 is just a summary from Dr. Winters and his staff of the number of adults that are enrolled in our adult high school program. Again, you see the total enrollment across the top, how many completed, how many are continuing to participate in that program, and how many have, for some reason, fallen away from there. You see a breakdown of them demographically on that page, and again, that requires no action. That's just for your information.
Okay. Any questions on that report? Okay, next item is attendance.
Board members, last month or two, we had some discussion about the number of absentee students that were reported, and we'd had some conversations about, I think this board had asked us to invite representatives from the juvenile court to meet with us and share some of the items that they are working on and how they are dealing with students that are referred to the court system through our school principals and school attendance officers. You've all received an email from Magistrate Stark. She thought it better, rather than coming to a board planning session, that she wanted to invite you to a meeting. I think you've all received that invitation. It is for the 31st of this month. I think it was 1:30, and she requested our attendance at that rather than coming here. I and some of my staff have accepted that, and we plan on being there. I noticed a couple of you had done the same, and if you plan on attending, you can either reply to her email or her invitation there, or I'll send that in for you if you'd like. But I think there was some discussion too that might have implied that I had not given the correct information to you at the previous board meeting about absenteeism and chronic absenteeism. So I wanted to make sure the document that you had in last packet was the number of students and the number of total absences that those students had. And that is accurate. We've double and triple verified that. So that is the number of absences that students have. To help clarify any misunderstandings that may have been communicated, placed item 7D in your packets on page 65. This has the total number of unexcused absences that our students have. And so with your permission, I would take a look at, let's just start at the bottom of the page if you would. We have 1,145 students, that have missed 10 or more unexcused days. And I would remind you, according to our policy, those people receive a letter, they receive a follow-up letter, they receive an invitation to our schools to meet with someone on the attendance committee at those schools, and then if they're unresponsive or not responding to that, they are referred to the court system. And so that's 1,145. You see the school breakdown: Bransford 28, Crestview 55, Cheatham Park 28, Coopertown Elementary 28, Coopertown Middle 91, East Elementary 13, East High 88, Greenboro Elementary 3, Greenboro Middle 80, Greenboro High 132, Joe Burns High 62, Joe Burns Elementary 12, Chrysler 39, Woodall 39, Springfield High 139, IA 92, 44 at Watauga, West Side 32, White House Elementary 15, White House High 109, and Phoenix Academy 16. So those are the number of students that have 10 or more absences that are unexcused. You'll move across that column, you'll see students that have 20 or more unexcused absences. You'll see 215 of those students. All the way over to students, you will see some students, for instance, I see a column on the far left. There's one student that missed 150 more unexcused days of school. And we'll continue to say it's difficult to teach students when students are not in school, and we are utilizing every resource that we can to our advantage to help students realize the importance of being at school, whether they're elementary students or whether they're high school seniors. Our principals, our attendance clerks work very hard on doing that. They're very creative in the ways that they're seeking to solve that problem. But again, I will say, I believe that is a community problem. I don't believe that is solely a school problem. That's just some information, Ms. Hogan. I'd be glad to answer any questions about
Any
that.
questions?
So at the meeting, is this just an exchange of information, like them telling us how they approach these, or us making a request? What's the?
I think the request that you presented me was to have a planning session where we could have some dialogue and interchange how we can partner together with the court system to solve the attendance problem. You've read the response that we received.
So I think I've seen this number, just to help me. So Robertson County, we're running about a 17%, use the word truancy rate, and the average is 15. I don't remember those numbers specifically, but I know at one time they were on a handout and we were higher than average in Robertson County.
We will receive some of that data from last year's, from the previous year's reports as the state continues processing those, and we'll be able to compare that to other counties. I'm going to go back to pre-COVID. We were probably at 92% in our high schools and maybe 95 or 96% attendance at our elementary schools. And COVID did change a lot of things. And some of that is changing attitudes. You know, again, I said this last meeting, the COVID attitude was stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home. If you're sick or, you know, stay quarantined. As many, I remember one time it was 21 days, stay home. Our message has got to be in school when you are able to be in school now.
We don't have so much authority.
We cannot teach students that are not in school.
Right. But we can only do so much.
Yes, sir.
Send letters, but at the end of the day, it takes the court system.
It takes a joint effort between court
Right.
system, our social workers, our staff, teachers to have exciting lessons that are motivating to students and engaging with students. It is a joint project.
So hopefully, we can all work together in this meeting coming up to solve, you never solve it 100%, but
Right.
a few points will make a big difference.
I was looking to see if Brooke was here. She's doing wonderful. 3 at Greenville Elementary, that's pretty good.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to school capacity.
Board members, on page 66, item 7E, I know we spent a lot of time with this chart last year looking at capacities and what capacities our buildings were, whether we looked at that again, whether we looked from the previous study that was done to current enrollments, to current capacities. And so what I've done is I've taken the numbers that we are projecting for fall enrollment in a couple of weeks and just as shown in the far right column, what has happened since since the board has rezoned. So in order to read that chart, again, there's no action needed at all, but at Bransford, we have increased capacity at that building by enrollment, 5%. At Cheatham Park Elementary, because of our rezoning, we've decreased capacity at that building by 4%. So that gives us more room to put more students in that building. You see at Crestview, zoning made a significant decrease in it helped us free up some seats there. Same thing at Springfield High School. And you'll see, for instance, down at Joe Burns High School and Joe Burns Elementary, several of our students got rezoned to that cluster. And in the White House Heritage Cluster, we freed up some space down there, but you will still see East Robertson High still at capacity, White House Heritage Elementary still at capacity. But those are based on projections at this point in time. But again, I think that's just some information to help you as we continue to plan and talk about facilities.
Any comments on? No? Okay, we'll move on to exam exemption pilot. I think you
Also,
have a
beside your
handout.
desks, board members, you had asked for item 7F. And at our last conversation, there was discussion on what students that might have chronic health issues and might be in that position where they would have those at a different point in time. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the bottom, we tried to capture the language that you had expressed at your last meeting. It's highlighted in yellow. Students who have a chronic illness form must be compliant with the terms spelled out in that form, and a student in compliance must then have the minimum grade of B to be exempt. We've talked about that, and we've explored that in several different areas. I think really what that does is that breaks that down to a student on a case-by-case basis. We have some students that have many reasons and many excuses by a doctor to be out of school, some 2 days a week, for instance. And so if a student were to get the chronic absentee form and they're compliant with that, in a semester they could miss as many as 20 days. So again, I think that's up to this board of whether we think that's, or whether you think that's appropriate. If they have a chronic absentee form on file, again, that's going to require those principals to know what those forms say individually and to work on that. So I think that's what you'd ask us to do based on our understanding.
Okay. Any comments or discussion? I'm assuming this does need a vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I think as far as the chronic illness part, it is good for a pilot. I'd like to hear from our administrators next year how they, any changes they'd recommend, or if they recommend going forward with it at all. But I know we did have some straight A students that had chronic illnesses that were kind of left out of it, So I do think it's a good step toward at least trying to include them, but it's not a permanent change.
The only thing that really caught me is, and I guess I just didn't really think about it, but, so you can make a B, you can be a B student and be exempt. I don't know, that just kind of, there's something there that kind of makes me think, is that correct? You can be an 80, you can make an 80 and be exempt. Are we rewarding that? And should we be? I'm just asking the question. I understand the A student. Now we got a B student. And so the C and D are the only one taking the exam. I'm thinking, I don't know. There's part of me that would like to look at that more to say, is there a benefit there?
Yeah, I
not that
understand
everybody
what
gets-
you're saying, but did we go to B because it would involve more kids trying to get their attendance? I mean, is that, Is that what the goal of going?
And that may be the reasoning, is so, you know, a C student with perfect attendance, what about him? Or her? Yeah, but I'm just asking the question. Where do you draw the line on exempt?
I think it's B, but, I mean, I've celebrated a lot of Bs with my kids. We've gone out to eat for Bs.
Yeah, I still get my exempt.
You know, so, but yeah, like that's, you know, I mean, I just think that for a lot of kids that are trying and are B students, it has, I know I've seen with
Above
my
average.
high schooler and his friends, they, you know, they're counting these days, saying, because I don't want to take this exam, so it's having its intended function right now, but I do think it definitely is where the line is.
Just asking. I know I had a lot of Bs, I took a lot of exams.
We can't go retro on this.
That's right.
It's already
This
done.
is not for you, Scott, we're sorry, but,
Motion to approve the
Okay.
pilot for 25-26 on the
It's hard to find something.
final exam exemption.
okay. Motion made by Mr. Jeff White, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Josh White. I think we've had questions and discussion. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, next item is potential dates for architect presentations.
Board members, as we discussed at our last meeting, in order for us to be on track to open a new facility, and I know we've not identified which facility, I think we've, in essence, talked about a potential middle school at White House Heritage. We've also had some conversation about a potential middle school in the Springfield city proper. But I know Hewlett Spencer shared with us that in order to be able to open a facility in fall of '27, that we would need to have an architect selected by the end of August. And so I provided 5 dates for you on page 67 in your book. I think we had talked about having a limited selection of architects that have done work with our system or that have been in constant contact with our system to express that interest, that we would invite them for, I think we discussed a 25 or 30-minute presentation where they did a presentation based upon some standard questions that we sent to all of them, and then you had an opportunity to ask questions of that group. They would make individual presentations. I think it's what we discussed, and Hewlett Spencer would be here to help us, not to vet them, but to ensure that they could work compatibly with that process. So I received responses from most of the board that these dates were good, but I wanted to see if it was still your desire to move forward with that process and go through an architect selection process. You see the dates: August 19, August 21, August 25, August 26, or August 28. I think if we had 4 or 5 architects, that we could bring those in, get that knocked out, and have a nice little break between each of them. Probably knock it out between 5:30 and maybe 3 hours. I'd prefer doing it one night. That way our minds are all fresh. We all hear the same thing, and it's not broken down into different days or something like that. So I'd prefer doing it that way if that suits the board.
Rather do them all same day.
Yeah.
I think a 10 or 15 minute, I mean, everybody's fee's gonna be the same, because they charge the maximum by the state allows. And so then it's just gonna be the projects they've worked on, who they worked with. And I don't see a need for somebody to give me a 30-minute history on architects.
And we do have some standard questions that I think would be important that the board look at, so.
I'm assuming everybody's gonna charge the state fee, which is, I think, 6%. And nobody's gonna cut it, so it ain't about money. It's who we feel comfortable with and they feel comfortable with. At the end of the day, I don't need to hear a 30-minute,
Like references and
I
portfolio.
don't need to hear a 30-minute conversation on 5 different architects.
Is the questionnaire you're talking about, or those questions that you have, is that something that you could go ahead and present to them and then present a package?
Absolutely. I don't think it, I think
I
it's,
like
we send
that.
that, you have been invited to come share this information with us, and that way, you know, if they're efficient in their presentation, they'll know to include all of those topics in there, and, you know, have digital presentations and hard copy presentations for you. So if, you know, if we said we'll schedule 30 minutes and then they'll do a 15-minute presentation, we could have up to 15 minutes for questions for that group.
And I guess it's like the last time we did this, they can all sit and listen to each other throughout all of it. Or are you gonna?
I'd prefer they not, but
I would
that's
too,
up to
but
this
you know
board.
it's been done.
It is a public meeting, and so I think we can respectfully ask them to wait outside until it's their turn and just let them know that. I don't think we can stop them from coming in, but I think we can respectfully ask them to, and I think people that are accustomed to working with us would respect that of their peers.
I will say, that I originally said I think that I was good with any of these dates. I do have a conflict on the 25th, if that doesn't mess anybody else up.
I'm good for any of the dates.
So are you want us right now to pick a date?
I'd like to, because I think if I were in their shoes, I'd be wanting to start my presentation and
Okay.
my modeling and my discussion and whoever I needed to. And our calendars are busy. I'm sure, you know, getting together that group would be as well.
That's
What do
19th.
you think?
So on the question I had is, so school starts early August. Do you think by the 19th we'll have a pretty good idea on enrollment by then? By the 19th?
Probably so. I mean, it will still change up until Labor Day, but we'll have
I'm just saying if enrollment significantly changes, this conversation may change a whole lot.
That's true.
And there's a real possibility with what's going on that enrollment could be affected.
I do wonder about it.
That's just my opinion.
It's a very good point.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't.
So I don't know if there's much difference in 19th to 28th, whether the numbers will change. I mean, I think we'll have a pretty good idea by either one of them dates. So I'm good.
I mean, it's safe to say
19th.
you've got 90% of your enrollment on the first day of school, right, or more. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would think so. Okay, y'all want to go with the 19th? Everybody okay?
okay, we'll do
Let's do
that.
the 19th.
19th?
Okay, 19th.
What time?
At 5:30?
Oh,
Let's say 5:30, and then we'll adjust as necessary.
Sorry. Is that not gonna be distracted?
Probably would.
usually, yeah. All right, let's see.
19th?
The 19th. Okay, we're down to communications.
None.
Okay, Director of Schools report.
Board members, I did want to, we do have, I'm not going to share names because of any privacy concerns they might have, but I know we shared a health concern with one of our principals and their family with you over the weekend. I don't think it's any secret, but we'd ask that you still keep them in your thoughts and prayers as we do that. I am pleased to announce that as we have received some preliminary data, that we have seen increases in grades 3 through 8 at each grade level, at each subject level. So we are seeing some slow but steady progress. And so we're thankful to those teachers that are working hard, administrators that are doing that, and students that are learning more, and our scores are increasing. We had positive numbers at the high school level, maybe not every subject level, but we did have some positive numbers there, so we're proud of those numbers. I do want to report just that we are currently under a funding freeze from the federal government, not just us, everyone. And there have been some freezes in Titles 2, 3, and 4. And so as as supervisors of federal programs. I know Dr. Hollingsworth and her staff are looking at that very closely. We as directors of schools are looking at that intently as well. We are developing a plan should we have to make any changes in programming and staffing, but we'll be communicating more about that as it comes about. Would just say as we are preparing for school, we've made significant progress in construction at IA. We've also done a lot of work at Woodall Primary this summer in terms of HVAC programming. West Side, we're really pushing that group to continue to get ready for school to start there. As we talk about school getting ready to start, you do have a list of open houses that we've shared with you, and we encourage and invite you to participate in as many of those as you can. And then finally, we had our first back-to-school supervisors meeting this morning, and so we had a couple hours there we spent together talking about things that still need to be taken care of before we start the new year. And principals will be back for training Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, and they'll be back in their building. So it's getting close to time. And I think that's all.
Okay. I just have a question. What about cleaning?
Cleaning, we've felt good about our new vendor. They have come in and they really attacked several of our schools. Their main project right now has been getting school floors waxed and cleaned. I hope if you have a chance to just look around the lobby of this building even, we've noticed a great improvement and very happy with those so far. There are some staff that have been hired back based upon recommendations of their administrators, both mornings and afternoon crews. There have been changes in products, there have been changes in lots of processes and things there, and the training process has been very good. Certainly that's a difficult position to find people to work in, we know that, but we are very pleased from our preliminary conversations with principals, and look forward to that moving forward as well.
Thanks. Okay, do we have any old business that we need to discuss tonight? Anybody have any new business?
I do, I guess. I'd like to make a motion that we direct administration to put together a compensation plan for non-employee coaches and sponsors of extracurriculars for us to review at our next meeting.
Second?
I'm sorry, second was,
Yeah, I second.
oh, Mr. Rice, second. Okay, any questions or discussion?
I'm assuming in that, looking at that tiers, in a situation like that, you'd be in the first tier as far as the compensation goes. I think that would be a natural progression that you would do that.
Yes.
But I'm moving, I think there's some discussion there. I mean, if somebody's a retired teacher and been doing it for 40 years and they want to keep, well, then maybe,
Like prior experience.
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approval, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes 6-0. Any other new business?
Just a question, did we need to vote on the Joe Burns baseball building tonight, or are we holding that off?
I still need to hold that out for a little bit, if that's okay. I think we have given them some initial permission to do some preliminary work on the ground there. I know it's our policy and practice that if anybody's doing renovations to campuses, what those look like, that they bring those before this board for final approval, that it goes through a multi-step process before it gets to you, everything from where the funding is, who's doing the work, what's an anticipated timeline, how they're raising funds for that, down to making sure there are no conflicts with other projects that are going on, making sure there are no conflicts with utility lines and things like that and all that. So it goes through that vetting process, but we've given them some permissions because we are comfortable with what that looks like. I don't think they're going to be out they may be moving some dirt around, they may be delivering some supplies and things like that. I don't think we're gonna see anything going up in the next day or two, but, we're okay doing that if you are. It would not be anything atypical that we wouldn't approve on another campus.
So they can start, but we'll approve it next month.
That would be my anticipation, if that's okay.
Okay.
I think Ms. Hogan and I could look at that as executive committee if we need to, if there's anything unusual about that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's go to comments by board members. Mr. Rice, it's nice to have you back. Would you like to start that tonight?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the calls and the cards, and especially the prayers during my little bit of a health scare there. And so things are going well, and glad to be here. So enjoy the next few weeks, because school is fast approaching. I was looking at the calendar the other day, and it seems to be on a fast pace. So, but thank you all for the prayers, and I can always use those anytime.
Mr. Ayers?
We've still got 2 weeks, so I don't want to even bring it up. So but I appreciate all the work that's already started for a great school year. So everybody just enjoy these last few weeks. I know it's well deserved, and I'm looking forward to another great year.
I don't have a whole lot. Welcome back, Scott. Glad to see you. You look good, all things considered especially, so glad to have you back. I don't really have anything else than that. I can't believe summer's almost over. My kids really can't. They're like, it just started. Here we are, so, but looking forward to another great year.
Hey, I'm anxious to see inside the schools. If you want to see a nice looking floor and where somebody's really worked hard, Mr. Ron at Greenbrier High School. I know they're doing summer school up there, but the areas they're not using, he's been working, even when he was with the other company, he's worked all summer long. He's really worked hard. I know I went up to the elementary school the other day, and good luck, because they got a lot of work to do, and there's only one person there. School starts in just a few weeks. That's all.
Well, this past week, I heard some good things with the cleaning that's going on at Chrysler, and some happy people, so that's always good. But I really don't have much. It's hard to believe. It's almost here again, and Scott, it sure is good to see you. Stephen, we missed you too.
Glad to be back.
Good to see you both.
Yeah, it is. Good to have everybody back, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Well, I don't think I have anything other than, I really can't believe that it's almost here. I think back to all those years that I taught, and it went by fast, but I think, this is just going to say I'm getting old, right? Because I think time goes by so much faster now than it did. But anyway, I hope everybody does enjoy the rest of the summer, what's left of it, and be ready to go on that first day, and I know you will, and I appreciate everything that everybody does. So, the meeting is adjourned.